Hi, my name is Robert Chelle with Chelle Law, and I'm an attorney that assists physician assistants with employment contract and independent contractor agreement issues. So today I'm going to talk about a physician assistant compensation and productivity review, meaning if somebody asks me to review their contract during the call when we're going over the contract together, what do we talk about when it comes to compensation and then potential productivity bonuses? So first, obviously, we need to identify the type of compensation model. It can vary greatly for a PA. The most common is just a straight base salary, very simple. And then it could be a base salary with some productivity bonuses. If you're working for a hospital or healthcare network, RVUs are a pretty standard way of giving productivity bonuses. Basically, they'd put a threshold in the contract, meaning quarterly is a standard amount. Any kind of RVU generated over X amount, let's say they want you to produce 1,000 RVUs per quarter. If you produced 1,100, then you would get 100 RVUs times whatever the compensation factor is, usually somewhere between $20 to $40 for a PA. And so you just multiply 100 times 40, $4,000, and that would be your bonus for the quarter. If you're working in private practice, most of them don't use RVUs as a productivity metric. They will use collections, meaning so how much money the practice brought in based upon your personally performed services. And in that scenario, that could be many different ways, but it would be normally a percentage of the collection. So for instance, I'll just use the quarter as another example. They'll say, all right, this is what we paid out in salary for the entire quarter to you, and this is what you collected for the quarter as well. So we're going to take all of your collections minus what we paid out to you, and then we're going to give you, 15 to 20% of whatever is left over after the fact. That'd be another kind of hybrid model. In some circumstances, once again, if you're working for a hospital or healthcare network, you may just be paid entirely on RVUs. So in that scenario, usually they'll guarantee the contract for the first year or two, and then they'll shift to the pure productivity model where you're only getting paid based on your RVU production. So you need to be very careful about tracking your RVUs in the first year or two, so you have an understanding kind of these are the cases I need to see, these are the number of patients I need to see to generate the amount of RVUs, which will give me the compensation that I'm looking for. And then shifting back to kind of private practice, if you're paid purely on collections, then how often it's calculated, if they're you need some kind of guaranteed amount in that scenario as well. It normally takes 12 to 18 months for a practice to reach maturity. So you would never want to go into a job where you're only paid purely on collections from the very beginning, because it's very likely that you're going to be sitting there for 60 to 90 days before a lot of the insurance claims start coming in. And so you can make almost no money at the beginning, and then it rolls in. And then probably the one takeaway from this video, if you're paid purely on collections, or perhaps you get collections bonuses, you want language in the contract that says you will get the percentage of collections for 90 days after the contract ends. Many times in a PA contract, you'll say, or the employer will put language that says you'll get no compensation after the date of termination. So if you think of it this way, if you're paid purely on collections, you get a percentage. If it ends, your compensation ends as soon as the contract terminates. Think of all of the collections that are still out to insurance companies. As I said before, kind of a general, I'd say 45 days would be like an average amount. And so for the last month that you're working, you're essentially working for free, because all of those collections that come in after you're gone, you're not going to get the percentage of. So you absolutely want to make certain that you have language in the contract. And this goes for bonuses as well. If you've earned a bonus, but then the contract terminates before it's paid out, you want to make absolutely certain that there's language in there that says any earned bonuses are paid regardless of whether you're employed at the time they're paid out or not. I certainly have had clients where the employer's dragging their feet on paying them, because they know that they've maybe already provided notice, they're about to, so they can avoid paying the bonus to that PA. So that's some of the things that I talk to my PAs about when we're reviewing their contract, and then specifically the compensation models. If you have any questions about your employment agreement or independent contractor agreement, feel free to contact my law firm. Our information is listed below in the description, and I appreciate you watching the video. All right, thanks. Take care.